What's going on, gamers? We got some pretty heavy intel coming here from Mr. Shuhei Yoshida himself, who I loved, and he was awesome. I never wanted him to leave PlayStation. I wish he would have stayed as long as he could. But you know, crazy stuff happens in the industry sometimes, definitely when you give the wrong person a position they don't belong in, and they were probably better doing things in the position they were before. And yeah, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about Jim Ryan. So yeah, huge shakeups happened a while ago, and now he's coming out with more information. And this is exactly what I thought when I was telling people back then. But yeah, this makes sense though. Definitely when you think about how things are behind the scenes compared to how somebody wants to present themselves. Not that Jim Ryan is necessarily a fake guy, but more like just secrets that just weren't spoken about for quite some time, and now it's finally coming out. So here it is right here. And if you go to the website here, This Week in Video Games, it's pretty much exactly what this is with just an extra little couple stuff. Not that much. I mean, we can click on it too. MBG post, Shuhei Yoshida reveals he was fired by Jim Ryan because he wouldn't do the ridiculous things he was requesting. And this actually makes sense because he went on a suicide mission of goose chasing live service titles. And then he tried to put the whole PlayStation team in that direction. He had to be removed. It was really bad. And this right here is just even more ridiculous because Shuhei Yoshida knew the foundation of PlayStation. And also from a Japanese standpoint, meaning that that's where Sony is at. Jim Ryan wanted to just take all of the European lead and just cut off communication from Japan and do things his way when he was getting the helm. And everybody saw that, and it was breaking up a lot of things. Communication, you know, when lack of communication happens, that's not good. And this really says a lot about his lack of unity with leadership because everybody was not syncing in the right way. You were there that long with him since the 90s. Shuhei was there since the 90s, right? With Sean Layden. Then all of a sudden things are going apart like that. And you fire somebody that quick, but they've been there that long. That's way too far. On top of the direction that he was taking everything, which is way too far. Messing up the identity of PlayStation, throwing it off the rails, like pretty much what Don Matrick did, right? But in a way, Sony somehow recovered it in a different way because they had built a foundation for such a long time. And it didn't destroy PlayStation, but it definitely affected this generation big time. So them saying he was fired because he wouldn't do the ridiculous things he was requesting is insane. This explains a lot regarding Herman Host and reaffirms what many thought about Jim Ryan. Exactly. I helped Santa Monica to make God of War, Naughty Dog to make Uncharted, and Last of Us and Sucker Punch to make the beautiful Ghost of Tsushima, he said. I'm not surprised, yeah. Shuhei Yoshida had that vision. And he also had charm. He knew how to talk to the community. He knew how to do the right things. And he knew PlayStation's strength was single-player games. Everything he's talking about here has nothing to do with live service. Of course he disagreed with it, and he was right, and Jim Ryan was wrong. Look at the results. Just like I said, Sony better not launch fair games. You know what I mean? And then you see what's going on with the Horizon Hunters Gathering. The only thing that was good out of all of this was Helldivers. So that's why they need to be careful. Marathon's good too, but I don't know. It's a tough world. So him basically coming out saying, I was the guy behind that. You know what I mean? All these huge games that you like, I was there. Describing his work during the 2000s. Ghost of Tsushima was one of the last games that I worked on as the president of Worldwide Studios. So the things that made the PS4 era great. Shuhei Yoshida had a hand in all that. Actually, PS3 at the end of the PS3 era too, because that all got brought in to the PS4 era, like The Last of Us getting multiplayer at the beginning of PS4 when that launched. If you were there, I was. Man, that's crazy. But in 2019, yeah, this is when things started to get crazy. We knew this. After 11 years leading the first-party development, key word here, guys. After 11 years leading first-party development. So he was the one that was doing that for 11 years when it was actually really good. That means at the end of that PS3 era, all the way to the PS4 era, before the PS5 era came in, with the gas rush. I think this is starting to click in, right? I was fired from the role. So how do you do such a great job like this? This tells you about the vision of Jim Ryan, how deluded his ego was. And how he was just so far gone. Like, he just took the PlayStation foundation that made it amazing, and the way that it was built to be successful to the end of that PS3 era, where they made a huge turnaround, all the way to the PS4 era the whole time. What made Sony sell 118 million consoles and be able to set up to make the PS5 an easy transition, because that victory was over with. Like Phil Spencer said, well, if you won that PS4 era, or you won that era, the digital carryover solidifies a victory. I was telling people the same thing with Nintendo. Like, they're carrying over the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. That's solidifying 100 million easily. And who did that? Who's one of the main guys? Well, Sean Layden was there too, with Shuhei Yoshida. That's the funny thing. So, yeah, he was fired from that position because Jim Ryan thought that he could do better and that his method worked. What happened? Biggest embarrassment of all time. And all those firings in California had to happen. Jim Ryan wanted to remove me from first party because I didn't listen to him. He said jovially, prompting laughter from the audience. He asked to do some ridiculous things, and I said no. Because the leadership that he had from the 11 years that he said from the first party development, and as long as he's been at Sony, Sean Layden agreed too, said the same thing. What happened? Sean Layden left. Or Sean Layden was fired, right? Vice versa. Anyways, Jim Ryan was wrong. We all know this. Shuhei Yoshida's coming out again, spilling more beans and letting you know how ridiculous he was. I mean, because he's stating it. He says right here, he asked me to do some ridiculous things. So here's the thing with Shuhei. You know how he is. Like, when he says something, it's like, I take it serious, because he's not just going to say ridiculous for no reason. No, to him, that's ridiculous. And he's like, no. Because that's not the way I see PlayStation. It's making that pretty obvious, right? This is nuts, guys. It's exactly what we thought, too, because Hideki Nishino and Hiroki Totoki definitely had to make a huge turnaround from the beginning of last year all the way to this point. We've seen it. PlayStation had to get its identity back. It had to remember what it was, had to get back to this right here is what made them great, and having a lot of good third-party support. And their money hats too, because that's what Sony does. But hey, they don't just do that. They actually help studios get started, build them up, make good partnerships, and get games out there that probably certain people wouldn't have seen. If so, they would have got to it and done it. So, crazy information right here. And like I said, if you click on the website, it's not really showing you anything else. We're going to read some comments here real quick, though. Let's see what some people have to say. Matt Thornton says, Jim Ryan also, we can zoom in a little bit for you guys, wanted to move away from single-player, story-driven blockbusters, which is what Sony and PlayStation do best. Yeah, exactly. To live service games, which are flat-out crap and no one wants. Well, their soul is in uncreative. People do the same thing with them. If you look at the formulas of most of them, it's not creative at all, and it's not fun. And since the foundation is not that, and they put you in a bunch of loopholes and then hit you with a bunch of microtransactions and vanity and all these cool stuffs on the screen, it's like, yeah, that's cool, but I want to engage and earn something out of the game. And they're just not good at that. That's the problem with them. They're mediocre if you look at the foundation of everything in there with the gameplay, the engagement, the creatures, the methods that you have to do to get the items. It's all like bland. You need something that's actually really good. They can have all that. And then if the vanity is there to the side, people will go get that because they love playing the game so much. Not just, let me take a bundled imitation of everything that I've seen is successful and then blend it again and give it a different thing, like a high guard, right? You know what I mean? But you're doing the same thing again. And in those options, they're already better out there that already exist. And then people just get on so many of those and launch them. And you could change the name. You could say it's a new IP, but if you look at the formula underneath the foundation, it's the same thing over and over again. And people are tired of that because you're running into the same loop over and over again, but they're coding it. Like, no. Explains why PlayStation first-party games fell off so hard since then. Very few bangers compared to previous generations of PlayStation consoles. I mean, when you really think about putting the whole damn team on a gas rush, we're all missing single-player games from them. There could have been a lot more. Now they got it turned around. There's a lot coming out this year, and there's a lot coming out next year. But yeah, there was an opportunity for Sony to have a golden generation. But, you know, Damn, he ushered in some amazing games, and that's how they treated him. Shame on them. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That was stupid. Well, that's why Jim Ryan had to get fired. You see what I mean? It came right back in his face. Weird when he revealed this already a year ago. Moving from first party to indies, well, I had no choice. When Jim Ryan asked me to do the indie job, the choices was to do that or leave the company. And he revealed some other stuff. Did you face any personal challenges? Yeah, he did say this, handing some of the biggest developers over for others to deal with. And then you went to focus on the smallest game companies. Like you said, he wanted to help out the indie, so at least he did that. But the other stuff is, I think, also something else right here that he's talking about. And that's where the firing happened, because if he just went to indies and got fired, then that would have been that. But no, that's not the impossible thing, because he said no to something else after getting the ultimatum to go here. So I'm very lucky that the indie company, the publishers and developers I work closely with, they believe that they could use my help. I became an advisor from some of those companies. I'm continuing to work with some of the indie publishers and developers I respect to transition out of Sony to becoming an independent advisor. It's less of a change than moving out of first party. It's going to be interesting to know when the firing happened, though. Jim Ryan is the main reason Sony is in the position they are in right now. It's going to take years before PlayStation gets back to how they were before. But that's what I'm saying. All the way from last year, all the way to now, they have made a big recovery. You can tell. But of course, you have to get everybody back into that groove of the way things were functioning during the PS4 era. And that's where you see them going, only on PlayStation 2 and making the moves they made. They tried everything on PC and all that. Though I think they should still keep putting games on PC that are like live service, games like Helldivers, games like Kena. Marvel makes sense because it's a fighting game. You want to expand that out because it's online. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. The question is, who is pushing Jim to do those things? Jim is not an outsider to PlayStation. He has been there since PS1. Goes back to the investors pushing for this in the beginning. Maybe outside pressure, at least things are calming down. Well, here's the thing. No, dude. If you're going to be friends with somebody that long, you can't throw them under the bus like that. That's what I'm saying. They've been around since the PS1 era. That's what Shu was saying even before. We've been around that long time. Sean Layden said the same thing, where it's like, if you've been there that long, you can't be doing those type of things. That's where he was losing his mind. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Leave a comment down below. We got some serious intel leaked out here. Once again, as he was saying, ridiculous things he was requesting. And he was the one that ushered in and was leading that great era along with Sean Layden. Games that you loved. 2000s. So the dude was done wrong. Shuhei's a cool guy. I've always liked him. He's charming, nice person. He's not an ugly person. But he had to come out and say some other stuff today, and we see it. Peace out, y'all. Keep gaming no matter what platform you're on.